All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to, by the way, do you know
30.
what episode number is?
30.
Number 30.
Wow.
We are almost 1/3 of the way to 100 episodes, which you know what that means.
You've been saying
We're
that.
only 1/10 of the way to 1,000 episodes, Georgie.
You've been saying that for the past 3
future is
episodes.
now.
I know. I'm just saying, you got to look to the future, like Joe said. You got to look to the
future
future.
is now.
I'm joined by the co-host, Joe Deneweth, and George Chomakov, the two guys with typically bad takes on this podcast, while I am the voice of reason.
What happened to the BS segment?
The BS segment
You
has
scrapped it because
been scrapped.
Has been scrapped once he stopped posting his own BS.
Today's episode is going to be a little bit different. Before we start with today's episode, it's the holidays. So I do want to give a shout out because Georgie gave a shout out last.
I did?
Yeah. You gave a shout out last
Yeah, you
episode
did.
to Kelly for the Darwin Nunez notebook.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to give a shout out first of all to my boy Joe, who got me this Arsenal jersey, thanks to a clerical mistake by
Dick's Sporting
Adidas,
Goods.
Dick Sporting Goods. So thanks for the jersey,
That's
Joe.
a nice color. I
It is
like
a
that color.
Great color. These jerseys are so nice.
Makes
by
your
the way.
eyes pop. Looks good.
I like it. And I would like to give a shout out to my girls, to my Hawks girls, because they gave me this. My 07 Magic gave me this as a Christmas present. Check this out, Georgie.
Dang.
Rise and Grind, Sunday League,
Wow.
League of Champions, Champion Grind.
Wow,
I always
that's
talk
nice.
about, kind of how I do on the podcast, talk about my Sunday
Yeah.
League stats. I do that with the girls all the time. So they got me that.
course.
And then on the back,
Dun, 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 dun.
Dang. That's
with-
dope.
That is really cool.
with the liquid football.
That is really cool.
And player built at the bottom. So I'm going to flash that to the camera so you guys can see that. So huge shout out to my girls because they're always creative. What they got me last, you know what they got me last year? Is they took like really funny pictures of themselves, like just really funny, like making funny faces or whatever. And they printed these out on these little like rectangles because I always have my tactics board at the games. And they put them on magnets. So when I did the starting lineup, I used to always write the names.
Yeah.
I actually could put them in the
Smart.
starting 11.
That's
smart.
really cool.
That's dope.
They're
So-
creative. That's good. Good for
Huge
them.
shout out. Huge shout out. Any shout outs, Joe?
Too late.
Nope. Not today.
What about the Mexican guy in the van that gave you that sold you that
I
shirt?
had to barter for this jersey. This thing is 10 plus years old now. Got it in either Mexico City or Cuernavaca, Mexico, at a little market.
I'll tell you what, that's a high quality fake jersey. You know why?
It is.
Because the regular fake quality does not have the Adidas logo, and it only has 2 stripes.
Yeah, they do.
So he's got the actual logos and everything, even the badges.
They even got like this little.
The authentic
Yeah.
tag.
Like,
The authentic tag.
So,
tag,
Joe, are
they
you
just-
sure this is not real and the guy just didn't know it
It was
was
like
real?
$20. Like, so I would assume it was not real, but you never know. Maybe
Shout
it fell off a truck.
Shout out to the guy in the van who sold Joe the jersey.
Appreciate it.
Georgie,
Gracias.
you're out of shout outs for at least another episode because you gave your shout out last week.
No
All right?
shout-outs. My question is to your Hawks team. Why do we have only 17 followers on YouTube if you have, 30 girls on your team?
In total, I coach about like 50, like 50, close to 50.
So Joe demands from his people to watch and subscribe.
Yeah.
And you have the numbers and you don't care.
Some of the
Joe.
girls watch the podcast or watch my YouTube channel and stuff.
Talk to your boy, Joe.
I'll talk to you off camera.
All right. Anyway, let's move on. So
Figure
today's
out a way to
episode,
make it happen.
today's episode is slightly different than usual. We're not going to just go through the regular stuff. We will go through the pre-cap. The pre-cap is today, January transfer wish list for our teams, Arsenal and Liverpool. We're also going to talk about the best 11 of the first half of the season. Now we're going into the new year. And then we're also going to do a segment on the overachievers, underachievers, and those on par. And then I do have a little bit of a laws of the game one that I'm not really 100% sure about, but maybe you guys can help me clarify. We'll see how that goes.
Oh, it's gonna be
We'll see how
fun.
that goes.
It's gonna be fun.
All right. So with that being said, let's start with the January transfer wish list. I'm going to start with Joe today because we usually start with Georgie and Liverpool. I'm going to start with Joe. Joe, go ahead.
How many do I get?
As many as you want.
As many as I want. I guess it's like Santa's wish list. I can make it as long as I want.
But realistic.
Realistic. I'll keep it to 2
Oh,
players.
realistic. So Jude Bellingham to Arsenal is not realistic?
That would be absolutely incredible. Can you imagine Jude Bellingham, Declan Rice?
I don't want to.
Oh my god.
At Liverpool, I want to. Yeah.
Let's hear it, Joe.
Oh my goodness. But up top, Ivan Toney, Victor Osimhen. Osimhen?
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 I don't know. I don't know how it's pronounced. Georgie will DM him and see what it's
Yeah,
what
can you
its pronunciation
can you have
is.
him
He's a champion grind sponsored athlete.
Is he?
So, yeah.
Those would be the two strikers I would want. I think pretty self-explanatory on both. Tony's proven in the Premier League. Osimhen could be what we need, I think, long-term moving forward. Both could help us win the title right now, which is what we need.
You would take both over Gabriel Jesus right now.
And you're saying, like, yeah, if we had to get rid of Gabriel Jesus?
I'm just
Yeah.
saying. So,
Like he would get them and
Yeah.
they would start over him at
Yeah.
least.
Yeah. They would for sure, I would say at least one of them would start over him, yeah. And then I would like us to strengthen up the midfield with someone either like a Frankie de Jong or a Barella.
Oof, that's good. That's a good one. I like that. Nothing at the back?
I feel like
I-
that's the main
See,
area where,
really?
I mean, injuries.
I said the injuries hurt. Tomiyasu, when he stepped in, was playing phenomenally until his injury. Then we have Ben White, who I think does well.
Zinchenko's
Zin-
always got some sort of an injury thing going.
Yeah,
And Timber's out, right?
Timber's out, but
Is he
rumors
coming?
coming that he's going to start practicing again in January, so he'll be back. And then, I mean, Saliba and Gabriel in the center, and just pray no one ever gets injured.
That's fair.
I almost put a goaltender or goalkeeper in here, but I just couldn't think of one that would fit the way we play. Like, because I think the top ones are already taken in Allison and Ederson, and then I think there's a pretty big drop off in terms of at least ball playing keepers that I know of. But that is something I would like to see us improve as well, because Raya, sadly, is not it. I'm getting off the Raya train quickly.
Wow.
Oof.
I know.
You were Team Raya at the beginning, weren't you?
I was.
Yeah, when
And I
we-
still want to give him time. He hasn't cost us a game yet.
But he hasn't been convincing.
Yeah, he hasn't been, and it would be a shame to lose the title on something like that, because it could happen very easily because it's so close.
How crazy would it be if Arsenal lose the title because of Raya when had they kept Ramsdale, they could have won the title. Let's say. Like, I wonder if that's what's going to cost it.
I said it. The goalkeeping situation, man.
I was going to say, do we throw
You
in
did?
another goalkeeper just to see what happens? Fuck it.
At this point, I mean, who's your third?
I don't-
Might as well keep both of them out and play your third.
I did see a stat, or it was like I think it was a YouTube short or something, and it was a guy explaining how there was a logical argument for Raya to play at home and Ramsdale to play away.
Statistically speaking?
Statistically speaking, all of Ramsdale's clean sheets over the past X amount of games have all come away. Raya's have all come at home. When you play at home, you're probably going to have more possession. Benefits Raya. Ramsdale, all of his mistakes that led directly to goals have come at home. Raya, all of his direct mistakes that led to goals came away.
Interesting.
That, like, when you really break it down and look at it line for line, I'm like, well, that's actually a very, very, very good argument. But
Can you imagine being a goalkeeper? That would be the worst thing in the world. You play one game every 2 weeks.
it's better than no games every 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, for a field player, that's probably an easier thing to say because then you get more rest, especially for some of the older guys.
Yeah.
Not that they'd prefer it, but if they knew that they were consistently once every 2 weeks or once every week and a half, they'd be getting a game in. It's probably better than what they're all complaining about right now is the amount of games that they have to play in a calendar year. But that's interesting because now there's so much focus on data analysis and like the expected goals and things like that seems honestly totally fair to me. If you have the statistics to prove why one goalkeeper should be at home and one goalkeeper should be away, the only thing from there that you need to argue with your team about is, does your backline feel confident in both of the goalkeepers enough to build a relationship that it's okay that 1 week they're going to have one goalkeeper and the next week they're going to have another goalkeeper?
Yeah, but what about the confidence of the goalkeepers?
It's hard.
I actually think that would give you more clarity in this situation because it seems like both of them are nervous anyways.
They're
Where
both-
it's like, hey, you're going to play at home, you're going to play away. This is why, and boom.
Yeah, it's the only way that works is if your goalkeepers are indistinguishable. Is that proper word? Is that an actual word?
That's a word. It sounds like.
Indistinguishable.
It sounds like a word to me.
Like
but-
if you can't tell who's your number one and who's your number two. Because right now, everyone in the world can't tell who Arsenal's number one really should be.
yeah, but
Other
Arteta
than
knows.
Arteta.
Yeah.
Or maybe
And
he's
he's the
been
one that makes the
planting the
decision.
seed this entire time, and he was always planning on going home and away.
But I mean, and it's also tradition. Like you don't put in a goalkeeper one game and then another goalkeeper. You don't flip flop your goalkeepers like that.
Yeah.
It's like how coaches rarely ever substitute a center back during a game.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, I don't see a reason why you wouldn't want to break that if the statistics say that that's a good idea that you should do that. Again, you have to have the conversation with your goalkeepers and explain it to them. But at the same time, I've had that conversation with goalkeepers that I've coached where I said, you're going to play half and half until you can show me that you're the better goalkeeper and you deserve more time. Because if I can't tell, if I have two goalkeepers, and this is different because I'm not at the, we're not at the professional level, but you got to split time until you can show that you're the best one.
So Javi's Arteta before Teta. That's what you
Well,
just
with
said.
field players, it's
Pre-Arteta,
different.
hey,
Field
he's-
players is different because if you have two field players who you can't really tell who's better, you can move them around in different positions so that
Yeah.
they both play on the field at the same time.
Yeah.
Goalkeepers, obviously, you can't do that.
Can't do that.
But that's a good point, Joe. It's a very good point. I'm interested to see. Someone should send that send the stats to Arteta. See what he says.
DM him.
I'm gonna send him a DM.
I
Well, I got his number, so I'll
No,
reach out.
yeah.
After? Yeah.
I'll reach out. He usually calls me at halftime.
He's
anyway,
probably
the
getting
games.
up right about now, actually.
All right. So-
What do you have for your? Because obviously you're
So
Arsenal too.
similar. Nothing across the back. Nothing with the goalkeepers because that's already a shit show, and I don't want to mess with that. All right. Across the back, when right now healthy, Saliba and Gabriel have been playing fantastic. I think Saliba's been amazing.
Yep.
When everyone is healthy, I'm okay with our fullbacks. Ben White, I think, is solid. I don't think he's the greatest fullback in the Premier League, but I think he's better than any of the transfers that we'll be able to get. Realistically, I like Zinchenko because I think Zinchenko gives us a mentality of wanting to be a winner, of wanting to win the Premier League and holding yourself to that standard. Technically good enough to play a position that requires an inverted fullback or a regular fullback. I like him a lot when he came from Manchester City. And like Joe said, Tomiyasu's been great. So I'm fine with our fullbacks. All right. Backline, I wouldn't change. Going straight to the front, to the center forward. I wouldn't change our wingers. I think Saka, Trossard, Martinelli are good. Gabriel Jesus, I would change. And I have two targets. So Ivan Toney's one because realistically, I think that's probably someone we will get. And I think he fits our system really well. He can score from free kicks. Anytime he's inside the box, he's dangerous. He's a good player. I like Ivan Toney. But the other one, which we should get now before we can't get him later, Santiago Jimenez from Feyenoord, from the Mexican national team player. Breaking records. Broke your boy Luis Suarez's record for like goals in a single season or whatever at over in, what is that? Is that Netherlands, right?
Yeah.
And his price tag right now is probably low enough where we'll get a lot for what we're paying. Whereas if somebody else picks him up and then in 2 years he continues to do well, 1 or 2 years, his price tag is going to be insane. Now, Mexican players are traditionally have never been the most expensive ones. We've never had a player that's ever been really world class where their transfer fee is above 50 million or anything like that. But I think that would be a really good buy for Arsenal. And a lot of clubs are going to be trying to buy him as well.
Yeah, when you're breaking records, a lot of
But-
teams.
When you think about the teams that are competing for someone like Santiago Jimenez, Arsenal's got to be one of the better, the more attractive ones.
Yeah, because you think too, a lot of the top teams already have their strikers for the foreseeable future kind of lined up.
So Jimenez comes in, you will start him over Gabriel Jesus.
I don't know if right now,
Yeah.
but I'm saying if you get him right now and you start easing him into the team, I think that could be a really good bargain. So
That
those
as
are
he grows with Saka and Odegaard and Martinelli, who Declan Rice all going to be there for a while. You have a young striker coming up. I like it.
And then here's the other one. The last position that I feel like we really could use somebody legitimate is our holding center mid. I think we've had. I mean, when is Partey coming back?
I don't know. Seems like he's always going to come back, and then he gets hurt in training.
So who do we have right now in that position that you're like really excited about having?
Declan Rice.
So Declan Rice, but Declan Rice, you want him higher up. So Declan Rice, you want more as a number 8 if you had a really good number 6. So you could push Declan Rice up a little bit higher, make him the box-to-box guy, and then have Odegaard as the
and then take off our boy.
Who?
Kai.
Take off our boy Kai.
Yeah, take off Kai.
I think what he's going to do in the last half of the season.
We'll see.
Oh,
But for me, I'd like to have Declan Rice as the 8, Odegaard as the 10, and we need a really good number 6. Now, hear me out, all right? Hear me out.
This is about to be.
This is not going to be a bad take, but this is going to be a take that people are going to be like, really? Marco Verratti. He's playing in Saudi Arabia right now after the PSG, 11 years at PSG. Easy to get. I think he's 31 or 32 years old, so he's older.
That was going to be my question with how old
He's older. But I always admired him. I always liked him as a player. I think he could be a really good number 6 because he's calm and patient under pressure. He's Italian, and Italians love to defend, love to get stuck in for a tackle.
You have Jorginho.
Jorginho's not Italian, all right? I'll tell you that right now.
What do you mean?
No, I mean, what I'm saying is Verratti has traits of both. He's going to be a good ball winner for you.
And I know what you mean.
But he's so good at getting the ball out of the back and progressing it forward. I was watching some of his highlights earlier because I was like, who could we get as a 6 that isn't already taken? Like, we could say, we'd love to have Rodri. We're not going to get
Rodri.
Rodri.
Not getting Rodri.
And then I started thinking about, I was like, Marco Verratti's playing in Saudi Arabia, which he's probably not going to leave. I think he's on a 3-year contract, which just started not too long ago, and he's making way more money than he's ever going to make at Arsenal. I'm just thinking, it'd be nice for us to swoop in and say, like, hey, do you want to come back and try and win a Premier League and play in the English Premier League and also try and win a Champions League maybe? I think he would be good, and I think he fits our style.
He does fit the style. But I feel like he was always injured too for PSG.
Yeah, maybe.
Those guys.
I always feel like he's just older now too. That it's not. I don't know if that's what.
Wait, you guys are dismissing Jorginho like
Really?
completely. Like,
Yeah, I don't like
Jorginho's
Jorginho.
not even like in your.
I don't like Jorginho.
Yeah, I'm not a huge. I think Jorginho is great to have on the team in terms of what he helps the younger players with, but I don't think he's. He doesn't cut for what we need. He does. I mean, I think the Tottenham game's a prime example because he's gotten a few minutes here and there and single-handedly threw that game away for us. Not that like we could have recovered and done other things. And it's not just his fault, but he made a completely totally boneheaded mistake. On the flip side of that, towards the tail end of last season, he helped us win some games, but I don't see that.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that same person when he's come on, sadly.
Listen, the last time me and Arteta spoke on the phone, he agreed off of my guidance that we're no longer buying Chelsea players. All right?
Smart.
That was the last one.
So that's the last one.
We're not getting Mudryk in January.
There you go. That's your tagging player.
No, and I don't want us to go through the whole Mudryk campaign ever again. Because we like begged that guy basically, not begged him, but we like try to make it work so much. And then 5 minutes after he was all about joining us, he was a blue.
Yeah.
Well,
And I was like,
Chelsea's
come on.
hijacked the whole everyone. But can you imagine if you would have got Mudryk and not Declan Rice?
Yeah.
Gosh.
Wow.
Well,
I don't know
Yeah.
who came first, to be honest. I don't
I
remember.
think, that's weird.
But that's a lot of.
Were we gonna get both? That's the other part of it. Like, what if was the plan to get both?
That would be insane. That's 200 million.
I don't know.
over
But
200.
the whole Mudryk situation, and he's playing better now.
Yeah.
He's been playing better, but I still think Mudryk is not.
Well, where would he play?
He's
for you
not
guys?
better than Trossard.
He's not. He's
No,
not.
he's
But
not.
yeah, he's
Trossard
not.
is coming off the bench.
He would be competing with Martinelli for that.
I don't think he's anyone near.
And
that.
I honestly,
Maybe.
speaking of that, I think Trossard should probably start over Martinelli.
I was gonna say Martinelli hasn't been creating much and has been struggling. I think.
I think we need to give Trossard the reason why he comes off the bench a lot is because he plays better when he comes off the bench than when you start him.
Trossard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Martinelli would be really good off the bench, just because his energy and pace when
We'll
teams are
just put
tired.
Cobra Kai out there. Let him run wild.
You know, as long as he's on the field, anywhere, put him anywhere.
Is that your favorite player?
Favorite player? No.
Like at
Like
Arsenal?
The one that's most grown on him, maybe.
I really, really liked him before he went to Chelsea when he was at Bayer Leverkusen. I really liked him there. And he's young, dude. He's still really young. And he's only 24 years old. I saw a stat earlier. He's younger than Nketiah, which I think is wild. But he's good. And the thing I like is that he gets into the right positions. He makes great runs. He's the type of player that if he was on your team, you would love having him on your team. He gets the ball back.
Yeah.
He doesn't turn it over. He's always working. And it's that person where he's in a random one-on-one battle, and next thing you know, your team has a goal-scoring opportunity because he won the ball off an outside back, single-handedly pressuring them. Like, he gives you that. If he can, we don't need him to score a ton of goals. If he can score 8 to 10 goals a year, which he's on pace to now,
that's what you need.
That's what we need out of a box-to-box midfielder who everyone said it's money wasted. And that's somebody who, what did Chelsea pay for him? I think 70 million?
70, something like that.
So we got him he's had 2 years to develop in the Premier League for less money than they bought him for.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do like him.
With that,
he can play left back.
He can play he can literally play
utility.
everywhere.
Now, with that being said, though, I think it's also important to see who would you offload to generate some revenue for some of these players to balance the books a little bit. I have 3 players, so I'll let you think about it while I say mine, I guess. So,
if we had to pick 3 to offload?
Well, just any to offload. Like, who would you sell in the transfer window to balance things out a little bit? I would go with Eddie Nketiah because I'm trying to bring in another striker.
Mm-hmm.
So ideally, Gabriel Jesus would be the number 2, and then to bring in another striker. So I'd get rid of Eddie Nketiah. I would get rid of Jorginho so that we could bring in somebody. So that, let's say Partey gets healthy, and then we bring in another holding center mid. And then the other one would be Cedric Suarez. So, I mean, that guy is like, there's a video clip. I was like, of them coming off the bus. You see that? who goes in front of him? Is it like Declan Rice?
It's like Declan, and then I forget, like even Smith Rowe, and then him.
So like they're coming off the bus, and like there's fans waiting for them, and so Declan Rice comes on, and all the kids, you can hear all the kids going crazy, yeah, whatever. And as soon as he gets out of the picture, and Cedric Suarez comes by, everybody just gets quiet, like they don't even know who he is. Like they probably think he's the kit man.
That's crazy.
But he's a player from the 2010 era. That's the way I look at him. From like the 2010 era, that like comes in, doesn't really do much for us, isn't a great player, and then eventually just kind of gets sold under the table, and then like it is what it is. So I would get rid of him because he doesn't really play much, and you can tell Arteta doesn't really want him to play much if he doesn't have to. He's more just there emergency basis. So those are the 3 players that I'd get rid of to kind of balance the books a little bit, so we're not going crazy with the spending.
I'm looking at the roster right now, and I'm trying to. The only person I might add would be between Raya or Ramsdale, getting rid of one of them, which would probably be Ramsdale. Not gonna get rid of Raya. Suarez for sure. It's sad to say, but I guess Smith Rowe, I almost feel like it's time to. It's where I always thought he was going to bust into the squad, and I thought that the position Shaq was playing, that Kai is playing now, was what Smith Rowe was going to grow into. That box-to-box midfielder, because he's very good in front of goal, but I don't know if he just hasn't developed the defending that Arteta wants, or the work rate or something, but clearly in Arteta's mind, he's not the guy there.
Yeah.
Hence why we went and got Kai Havertz and stuff. But
which is sad because he
I'm
was
surprised
another.
you didn't say Vieira, because I know you're not a huge fan of Vieira, and seeing us get rid of him.
Yeah. Probably get rid.
Is
You
he
don't want to
injured?
get rid of everyone.
I don't
You don't want to get rid of everyone, but
Vieira?
Yeah,
No.
I'd keep. Well, he
is injured right now. Yeah.
the only reason
You're right.
I've liked him when he come in some of the games, but he's also playing in a position that's going to be almost impossible for him to ever really get playing time, because he's not a holding center midfielder. He's a little bit higher up the field. So who do you have? Declan Rice and Odegaard? No chance he ever gets any opportunities there.
Nope.
What happened to Kieran Tierney? Is he still playing for Arsenal?
He's loaned out.
He got loaned or sold?
We loaned him to Sociedad, I think. He's loaned.
All right. I was going to say
Real Sociedad, I'm 90%.
I say because that he's another player that kind of reminds me of like Emil Rowe, who like came in and had a lot of promise, and you think, okay, this is going to be is going to be similar to Jack Wilshere, kind of similar to that. Like comes in, does pretty well for a couple games, and you're like, wow, this kid's really, really good, and then all of a sudden just never really is able to compete consistently at that level.
And he's the one that gets injured all the time. So
Smith Rowe?
no,
Tierney.
Tierney.
Yeah.
He was good at Celtic.
Yeah. He also doesn't play like the way that Arteta wants to play. He's not, I don't think, technical enough for what he's looking for. I'm excited to see Timber back.
Yeah. I mean, we never really got a chance to see him, to be honest, in Arsenal.
That's true.
All right. So that's our wish list, Georgie.
Where's your Santa hat? I'm surprised you didn't bring it.
Just say that you want to sell Salah already.
No.
Dun, dun.
One, I was going to wear that.
And you want to give his salary to Darwin Nunez.
Listen, his salary is going to come to me if anyone. But I have two players. Because at the moment, Liverpool, one, I would like to get a defensive player. Because Tsimikas just broke his collarbone.
Yeah, he's out for a while. That looks bad.
He's out
Klopp
for a
took
bit.
him out. Didn't like him.
Your boy Saka.
Which I don't even know if that was a foul.
Conspiracy. I don't think it was a foul either.
Dude, when that happened, I'm like, oh my. Because that happens against Saka all the time and it never gets called.
Nah, red card for Saka.
Stop.
And Andy Robertson had surgery on his shoulder.
When's he coming back, by the way?
He's supposed to come back late January. So, that's still another 4 games or whatever. But
you have Joe Gomez.
Joe Gomez, but that's the problem. I told Javi during the Arsenal game. When, the 2 left backs are gone.
Mm-hmm.
So, the only other left back, right back you have is Joe Gomez. Usually, towards this season, in the second half, when things are not going 100% like Liverpool's way, they make a sub where a left back or a right back comes in. Trent is allowed to go into the midfield, and then it's a completely different game.
You play with 3?
Yeah. So now you don't have that option. As in, somebody else to come in and do that. In terms of,
You just have to rotate him without a sub, though.
Yeah. But that's the thing.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to come in off the bench to be able to accommodate for Trent. So that's what sucks about it. Because Joe Gomez has to play as left, Van Dijk, Konate, or whatever.
Yeah.
Matip is out. Anyway, I like Gonzalo Inácio from Sporting Lisbon. He's a center back, left back, Portuguese international. He's 22 years old. He has a $50 million release clause for January. I think if Liverpool can get him to cover the left back position for the time being, and then become one of the main center backs going forward, because Matip is on his way out. Matip's done for the season, and
he's older too, isn't he?
Yeah. He's older. I don't think Liverpool, they might renew his contract just.
But he's not what you need. He's not what you need. He's not the long-term solution to be next to Van Dijk. Yeah.
Van Dijk, Konate are obviously 1 and 2. Then you have Quensa right now, who's an academy player that's been doing really well for Liverpool, just because of the Matip situation. But this is one that I really like, and I think it's actually pretty doable. 50 million release clause. If he's ever going to go somewhere big, this is a perfect opportunity for him. So Gonzalo Inácio, and then my boy from PSV, Bakayoko. Just bring him on, man. 40 million will get him. I think Liverpool need an attacking player. Somebody else because Jota's just coming back, which is great. Diaz has his issues with his knee still. He's not 100%. Mo Salah is gone for African Cup of Nations coming up. So he's going to be gone for a month and a half, because I assume Egypt is going to be one of the better teams going to the final. Endo's leaving as well. The Asian Cup for the same amount of time. I expect Japan to be one of the top teams there. So he's going to be gone. So you need another midfielder like Bakayoko. I know Endo plays more defensive, but you can put Curtis Jones or Soboslai or McAllister come back, whatever. And then put another, more of an attacking player for Liverpool. So I think Bakayoko is a good shout. So I like those 2 players that I think very realistically can come in January and make a huge difference for Liverpool. And I think if either of those 2 come, Liverpool are going to win the league, especially Bakayoko. Just because I don't think Diaz is firing at all cylinders, just because of his injury, and Salah's leaving. So that opens up the spot for somebody else to come in and help out. So.
Is this the downfall of you guys bringing Bakayoko and then Salah leaves and then Salah never gets his spot back and then you sell Salah?
No.
Salah gets his spot back regardless, doesn't he?
Yeah, Salah, you can't. I mean, look,
when do you move on from Salah, though? That has to be on the horizon. Stops. Or do you just let him ride it out as a Liverpool legend?
I personally would let him ride it out.
Do you think Klopp would?
I think Klopp would, because Klopp is that
would
type
too.
of a manager.
Yeah.
Like, he let Henderson do it for 2 years too late, to be honest. Fabinho, similar thing. And another, like, as much as we talk about Endo leaving and Salah leaving, Thiago has been hurt all year. Thiago comes back in January.
For a week, and then he goes back another
Yeah,
6
I
months. on
hope
the
not,
injury
man.
list.
I hope. So
I feel so
Thiago's
bad.
coming back. And then Stefan Bajetic from the academy, who played 2 years ago now. He came on from the academy. He did really, really well when Thiago and everybody was hurt. He tore his ACL, so he's coming back as well, I want to say early February. So that's why I didn't add a defensive mid in here, because those two guys are coming back in. And I expect Thiago to hopefully stay healthy. But the way I look at Thiago is like, just keep him for the bigger games.
Yeah.
And put him in a
Don't
nice
start
bath.
him in. You don't have to start him really ever.
Yeah. And then you can play Trent in the defensive mid whenever you're playing a team that's going to control the ball most of the game. I didn't really do anybody that I want to sell, because I don't want to sell anyone. But if they're okay,
Who would you sell though if you had to make those decisions financially? Because you can't just buy people and never sell, right?
Yeah, Diaz.
Wow.
Yeah, I think. Well, two things. One, there's always rumors about him going to Barcelona, and his dad's always talking about
Going to
like
Barcelona.
that's his dream. He wants to go and all that. So at this point, he's gonna go at some point.
Why not?
Might as well just
Do it now.
cut it short. You probably get 50 million for him, and then that balances out Bakayoko or Inacio coming in. But
So before this podcast, you were telling me you wanted to sell Nunez. Did you change your mind or?
listen, that one's going nowhere. 10-year contract. Give it to him right now. That's it.
You know
Liverpool.
who Darwin Nunez is, Joe? I'll tell you what. Darwin Nunez is the NFT that Georgie bought years ago, and like eventually
and
just
I'm
like
hold on to
died.
for-
And he's like, it's gonna be worth.
Listen, guys, listen. Darwin Núñez is scoring goals for fun. Did you not watch last game?
Yeah, I mean,
We
he
saw-
scored.
we saw
I
his
wouldn't say
goal.
for fun,
Yeah.
Georgie, but he's scoring goals.
No,
doing
he's
better.
scoring goals.
Doing much better.
He's doing a lot better. His overall game's improved.
All right, so that's it for your transfers.
Yep.
All right, not bad, not bad. This is why, again, we also should get some more guests on the podcast as well every once in a while for like these types of episodes, because I'd be interested to hear like a Chelsea
Yeah.
transfer wish list, or
Yeah.
I don't know about Chelsea one. My
Manchester
God.
United would be a good one, because
I would actually like to hear Chelsea. Like, who do you still want?
Yeah, that is true. Like, who else?
Well, maybe not Chelsea as much as maybe like Manchester
Yeah.
United or like a Tottenham would be a good to see what their wish lists are. So anyway, if you're listening to this and you're a Manchester United fan or a Tottenham,
I
Chelsea,
feel bad for you.
Aston Villa, whatever, Newcastle, let us know who is on your wish list. All right. Moving on now, let's talk about so do we want to go into the best 11 of the first half of the season, or do we want to go into the overachievers, on par, and underachievers?
Let's do team of the season, or first half of the
All right,
season.
Best 11 of the
Yeah.
first half of the season. What do you guys have for goalkeepers?
Well,
The goalkeeper.
I'm gonna say,
You're gonna say Ramsdale. I know.
yeah, Ramsdale. No, well, it was really tough. It
It's
was
really
not.
tough to look at anybody other than Liverpool.
No. The reason I'll say this,
You don't have to defend it. This one's the easiest one. I
yeah,
think.
I mean, Allison
Yeah.
is an obvious. However,
I'll debate that.
well, you can't debate that because he's been the best goalkeeper.
I'll
so far.
debate it.
However, Vicario has been really,
That's-
really good.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to debate it with.
But that's the thing. When you compare right now, if you were to take a goalkeeper, without a doubt, you're taking Allison over Vicario just because of
You're
what he's
starting a
done.
team.
Yeah, you're starting a team. You're going to take Allison. The difference is Vicario's come out of nowhere,
Yeah.
and he's
really good.
He's done so amazing for the first half of the season out of nowhere. So that's why it's like it's very hard to like one is like 100%, and the other one's like up and coming and surprising, and it's in everybody's radar now. So that's why I think there's like hype behind him compared to Allison, because Allison does this every season.
So it's similar to Allison when he was at Roma.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like, man, who is this guy? And all of a sudden, they're keeping clean sheets left and right, and they're winning games in Champions League. So it's a good one, though. That was yours.
Yeah, I had Vicario. Allison's good, but again, are we talking about the best goalkeeper? Or are we talking about I mean, Vicaria's just impressed me the most because he's had more to do than Allison.
Yeah.
Allison has had less to do, but with what he's had to do, Allison has been great.
Yeah.
So it's like that's why it was so hard to judge a goalkeeper like Valdez at Barcelona, because it's like you never have anything to do. So that when you do have the few things, you better be good, because otherwise, you know,
nothing to judge on.
and that's hard because a goalkeeper typically does better when they're facing a little bit more action because they can kind of get into the flow of the game versus just kind of standing around for 75 minutes and all of a sudden they have to make one big save.
Yep.
So, but Alisson's done that really well, which is why you would say, yeah, he probably is in that's why he's probably the best goalkeeper in the first half of the season. I just think Vicario, with what he's had in front of him, and I mean, when you have players like Romero in front of you that are just like, you never know if they're going to be on the field after 25, 30 minutes, right? And then on top of that, your coach says,
I knew this was going.
your coach says, when you're telling your back line to play in the attacking third of the field, like the line starts in the attacking third of the field. Yeah, you're playing by yourself. You're literally playing by yourself.
You defend this whole half.
Yeah, honestly. So I think Vicario's done a really good job with what he's had in front of him, and there's been multiple times throughout the season where I felt like Vicario was one of the reasons why Tottenham has been playing well, or he saved their ass from losing a game that maybe another goalkeeper would have had them lose.
I think Vicario's a fair one. I went with Allison.
Yeah,
I think Vicario's, that makes sense. I wanted to say Ramsdale or Raya, but obviously I couldn't. Seriously.
We wish we could.
Yeah, Allison. I think it's just easy for me.
Yeah.
All
But I think Vicario's a good second in terms of what he's done. Surprisingly.
Backline. What do you got, Joe?
Two more Liverpool players.
Oh,
Wow.
well, yeah, I can.
Trent.
Yeah.
And Virgil van Dijk. Trent has been very impressive defensively for me this season. Obviously, we all know what he can do offensively. And then two London teams, Saliba and Pedro Porro.
Oh,
That's my outside left.
Interesting.
You went with Porro. I wanted the opposite side.
So, but those are my back four. Saliba, the game against Liverpool, I think, was one of the best games I've ever seen him play.
Yeah.
He was calm, cool, and collected. Every time he got the ball, it didn't matter if he was under pressure or not. And I think Porro's one of the few people who's been really consistent for Tottenham all year long and has done really, really well and hasn't dropped off and has been one of the reasons why I think they've stayed steady even after losing Maddison. So, yeah, those are my four. Who do you have?
I have the exact. Well, I have three. I didn't have a left back because I wasn't sure who to put as an outside back on the left. I had Trent on the right, Saliba and Van Dijk in the middle, and then I left the other position open. So I don't have much there. What about you, Georgie?
Trent, Van Dijk, Saliba, and Udogie.
Udogie's good, yeah.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
I mean,
More defensive than Porro, but
yeah,
good.
I like Udogie.
All right, central midfielders.
Central
what do you got, Georgie?
mids. Declan Rice, Douglas Luiz.
That was a name that was that's been on the Arsenal transfer list.
Yeah, and Soboslai. So those the three.
Mine's
So hold on. Soboslai is definitely a little biased because he hasn't really performed.
The last like 3-4 games, not so much, but it's like first.
I think
half
it was
of the
really
season.
just like the first 8 or 9 games that he played well, and then after that it's just.
But then he scores though, like the long range goal and like.
Fair enough, but that's got some Liverpool bias in it for sure.
for sure. I mean, he's good, but I wouldn't say he's top.
All right, Joe, what do you got?
So I have a unique formation per usual, a 4-1-4-1.
Oh God! I just went with the
Joe's
4-3-3.
got 6 center mids.
No, so if I was playing with your traditional center mids, the way I would have it would be Declan Rice, Alvarez, and Saka as your attacking mids.
Edson Alvarez.
Julian Alvarez.
I was like, oh, Edson Alvarez. Okay, fair enough.
This man puts Saka in the center mid.
He puts Julian Alvarez as the 6.
So my four, like I guess attacking midfielders were going to be Neto, Alvarez, Saka, and Salah, because Neto can play there. He can play through the middle. If you were coaching a team, Saka could also play through the middle, but not his prime position at all.
Joe would somehow find a way to manage a team with some amazing players into the relegation battle.
No. I think people will be looking at my team like, how is
Wait. Who are your strikers?
He's only got one.
I only have one striker.
Who?
Holland.
And you have Neto, Salah.
I mostly have all wingers, except for Alvarez, who plays through the middle.
Wait. Repeat the front.
Neto,
Yes.
Alvarez,
Yes.
Salah,
Saka.
With Declan Rice as the other one, as the
You're holding-
one in the
holding behind the
4-1-4-1.
four. So similar to how City play, but instead of having 3 and 2, it'll be your 4 and 1.
That's interesting that you got Alvarez in there. What'd you go with?
I didn't put anyone in the 6. I didn't put anyone as a holding
yeah.
centerman because I don't know. I didn't
Not
put
even
anyone.
Rice.
Well, I didn't put Rice as a 6, so I put Rice high. I put Rice as the 8.
I just did a 4-3-3, and they can figure it out on their own. But I kind of
That's what I did.
You guys
See?
figure it out.
That's what I did.
I mean, I just put 2 Arsenal. I just put Rice and Odegaard.
Yeah.
That's it.
wait, and you play
We'll play man down.
four.
We'll play man down.
Wait.
We got Rice and Odegaard. We don't need a third midfield.
Wait. This man doesn't have a left back.
He doesn't have a left back and he
Those
doesn't
are
have
just
a
the two.
center mid.
So I don't have
So
a-
you have 8 players
No, those are the.
and you're talking shit about my team.
This is what guys. This is what I mean.
So this is-
I am supposed to work with these two fools right
No,
here.
so I was gonna I was just curious to see what you guys were gonna put.
So you
There was nobody that convinced me enough. I could have settled for someone. I could have settled, like, you know who I actually had as the 6? Endo, for the last couple of games that he's been playing.
Yeah, Endo's being.
But I was like, I don't really like. He hasn't
Endo?
convinced me for the first half of the
Yeah,
season,
that's true.
Could go
But-
to Enzo.
huh?
Caicedo. You're all about Enzo and Caicedo.
Yeah, but Caicedo hasn't even been playing well recently.
I mean, he's been hurt.
Enzo, I probably would have gone with, to be honest.
But he's been
Chelsea's
hurt
just,
too.
they've been just all over the place.
Yeah.
Like ideally,
What about
I'm like,
McTominay or
I'm not putting
No, Douglas Luiz is
any Manchester
really
United
good.
players in my. So Douglas, I haven't. Douglas Luiz is one that's actually a realistic Arsenal
Yeah.
transfer target. But I just
you know what? I'm gonna take Saka out because of all the shit talking. I'm gonna put Kai Havertz in
Oh
my
God,
word,
it
no, you can't
makes it
change this
worse.
anymore.
because he
So-
actually plays that position.
Wait, so you have the 2, and then what about the rest of the team?
So the front 3,
he doesn't have strikers either.
He's like, I'll play no left
playing with
back.
the minimum 7. Saka on the right because he's been very consistent. Doku on the left.
Wow.
I almost went with Doku.
I went with
Really?
Doku because, dude, that guy.
Watching him is impressive.
He's impressive, and to me, it surprised or interests me so much that he fits into that Manchester City side because for what he does, you think Pep would hate that type of player because he
He just dribbles.
He dribbles.
He's so good at it. I think that's why Pep likes it because it's like if he dribbles at somebody 10 times, he's going to beat them at least 6. So I know I'm going to get 3 to 5 goal scoring opportunities and good crosses.
But that's also why I would feel like Guardiola would be like, I don't think this is the right fit because when he does lose the ball, that's where Manchester City's biggest weaknesses are in the transition.
Yeah.
So in his head, he's like, well, if you lose the ball 4 out of those 10 times, that leaves us open to a lot of teams counterattacking us.
Dude,
And-
that's- the way City play, I feel like though that's one thing City's changed because they don't play with wingbacks anymore. Because like before when they had Cancelo and Walker, like Cancelo obviously going up the left and then Walker coming up the right. Now that they really sit, like they almost just have their 5 defending and they let their 4 run free and then maybe one of the 2 holding midfielders, Rodri or whoever's with him, will go just to support, but never really
yeah.
get there, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I almost feel like that's something that Pep's been changing and evolving.
And maybe that's why Doku fits in so well. Because
Put him up there, let him run.
Yeah,
Let
exactly.
him do his thing.
And then he's got a little bit of support at the back, a little bit more support at the back versus before. But I like Doku, man. I think when he was before he got injured, he was he's injured, right?
Yep.
Yeah, before he got injured, I thought he was really good. I was like, just watching him, I was like, there's no chance a Grealish
We'll get back in.
will get back
He's
in.
a better version of Grealish.
Yeah, exactly.
I almost had him. I went with Neto mostly just I was going back and forth between the 2. And over the course of the first half of the season, Neto's done more, I think, for a longer period. But like of those 2, Neto and Doku, I think Doku's peak
I'm
is
trying to
much
see
higher.
how many games he actually started.
Doku?
Because I don't think
He
he
hasn't
wasn't that
played.
many.
He hasn't played.
It
I can
wasn't
tell
that
you.
many.
Because
He's
it
only
was in the
played-
middle of the first half of the season.
Then when
And then
he
he got
had the
injured.
one game
Yeah.
was like really really good.
I have him on my fantasy team. I can tell you in a
But
second.
he played towards the end of when they were still doing well. And I think he got injured early on into when they started dropping off.
Yeah.
He's played in 11 games total.
Yeah, he's played in 11, but like how many did he actually like start? And
He's played 88, most of them. 88 minutes, 50 minutes, 90 minutes. There's only been 2 games where he's played less than 25. One he played 21, one he played 2.
Yeah.
Everyone else is 50 plus, so that would mean.
Doku's a good
so
player,
he started 9. Yeah, game started 9.
So 8
9 games started, 2 goals, 5 assists.
It's hard to find players like that, though.
Yeah, no, he's
dribbling wise, he's
He's
probably
like, you know who he reminds me of? Like a more polished version.
same maximum.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly what I was going to say.
good.
More
That's a good-
polished and more team-oriented.
Yeah.
Maximum was like, I'm going to take this on by myself.
Yeah,
I'm going to
that's
dribble
it.
everyone, and then I'm going to try and score. Whereas Doku, he knows he's like, Pep's only going to give me the freedom to dribble 1 or 2 players,
Yeah.
and then I better pass the ball or I better actually create some sort of output with that.
Yeah.
And then I had, the easy option is Holland,
Yeah.
because Holland is always going to be the best striker you can pick. But I went with somebody who's impressed me more than anything. I went with Isak.
Hmm.
I like
He's
Isak.
a good one.
Isak's good.
He's and
He's one of the ones that was rumored to come to Arsenal that I thought would have fit our playing
He
style
would, yeah.
perfectly.
he's had some
And
really
it was
good games.
very disappointing he didn't come.
Dangerous in the attacking third. I like Isak a lot.
Yeah, I
He's
like
impressed me a lot.
He's
I
good.
like Isak as well.
Is that it?
I think that's it.
That's it for the best 11 of the first half.
Best 11, and best 6. Yeah.
Wait,
I forgot to tell you guys, my team's playing indoor.
Who's
playing
wait,
Morty.
you have Darwin
Yeah.
up top.
No. My top 3 are Salah. Well, easy.
Salah, Darwin,
Salah, Haaland, and Son.
Diaz. Yeah.
I was going to say
Sounds a good
Son.
one. Yeah.
I like Son.
He's been very good.
Son is like my favorite.
He's
one of my-
just the best.
I love Son, man.
And he's one of those players that if you have another really good striker on him or another 2 really good strikers on him, it makes them even better
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
of
The way he
what he
plays.
does. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, not bad. So I don't think there's any terrible takes in any of our any of those.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? Which one was
You-
it terrible?
you're
Besides
missing
the
a
fact
left
that I'm
back.
missing players.
You-
I'm telling you,
You can't have terrible takes if
we're
you're like,
playing-
I don't know anyone in that position. I'll just won't
we're
write
playing
that
boarded.
one in.
We're playing boarded indoor. 66.
Can you imagine Doku indoor? Like,
No.
just play on your own.
All right, so let's move on to the overachiever, underachiever, and on par. So we have a couple. So those are the 3 categories: who has
Yeah.
overachieved, who's underachieved, and who's kind of where they should be. But we're going to talk about the coach or the manager in the EPL, a player, and the team. So those are the 3 that we're going to do those for. So let's start with
I
let's
didn't
start
think
with the
about any of
manager.
those.
Start with the manager. You can think of one pretty quickly though. Who has been your overachiever for the managers in the EPL?
Big Ainge.
Really?
Yeah, I just think
Here we go.
What?
Another 1 million views on TikTok, baby.
what overachiever in terms of I genuinely believe Tottenham was going to really struggle this season, and losing Harry Kane, losing your captain, losing your top goal scorer, not making obviously the James Maddison move was a pretty big one, but not splashing insane amounts of money and bringing in crazy big name players. The players they brought in, I think, have all done insanely well. If outside of those injuries, I genuinely believe Tottenham would have been in the title race. And the fact that even after those injuries, they're still competing for top 4 when they had that run of games where they started to slip. I've been impressed with
Yeah.
I guess a lot of the players have stepped up and done better than I thought they would. Son, I thought, was going to kind of slowly trickle down, but he's stepped up and improving. So I'm surprised you guys were that floored by that.
No, but to be fair,
I'm just floored because I knew he's gonna say something about it.
because I'm not a big fan of
you
Big Ainge.
hate Big Ainge.
Listen.
You don't think he's overachieved with that team?
When you really think about all the things that have gone wrong for Tottenham, with Maddison, with that one game against Chelsea where they lost 2 of their center backs and they got 2 red cards or
Yep.
whatever. That game, destroy them. In my opinion,
Yeah.
because that had effects for the next 4 or 5 weeks.
We have suspensions.
Yeah.
I think that's also when Madison got hurt in that game. And who's the center back? Van de Veen?
Yeah.
So like
Got
when you
hurt.
think about all the things that have happened to Tottenham, I do think you're not that far off. I
You
still
just
don't
hate
like. I still think he could have gotten a couple more results in some of those games had he made adjustments.
Yeah, the 2
So
red
that's why I
cards.
have
These
it.
guys still. He should have
Yeah.
gotten better
Well-
results in the game. We got 2 red cards.
Well, they got what they deserved after cheating.
To be
against
fair,
Liverpool,
though,
so
We used to hear this at DCFC all of the time. Trevor used to tell us this all the time. We start with 11 and we finish with 11. No red cards. Don't ever get a red card. Now, you do have to remind Romero every single game, do not get a red card.
yeah. I mean,
And I think there was a quote from, I think it was Martinez in the World Cup, where he's like, Romero, like I always had to remind him that he had to be smarter of not getting cards. He's like, because there was one game where he was already on a yellow and he went in on like a 2-footed tackle trying to kill someone. And he's like, and I grabbed him by the shirt and I said, if you get sent off, I'm going to kill you.
yeah. I mean, I can definitely see
Actually,
that.
see me saying that.
You do have to, I feel like you definitely have to remind some people,
Oh yeah.
do not get a red card. Like you don't realize how much of, it's
Like
not
they
that,
just forget.
they just forget because they're so used to, I'm going to go in crunching tackle because I love tackles. And then next thing you know,
You're
your
sitting on the bench.
Yeah. So, all right.
Who'd
but
you guys have? Overachieving
Georgie,
coach.
what do you have?
So wait, you said your coach only so far.
Yeah, overachieving coach.
Yeah, we're
that's
just
it.
going to go overachieving coach. right now.
Ariola from Bournemouth.
It's fair.
Okay.
Just, I mean,
They've had some good performances
They have
this
the
season.
last 10 games. I
They've-
don't know I don't know what the stat was. Last 7 or 10 games. It's what I was just trying to find. But they're on top of the league if you're looking at the last 10 games.
Like points from those games.
Yeah, which
Especially
is
where they've
insane.
been at in the past couple of years, too.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, let's see. Well, they're in 12th spot. They didn't start off the best, but the last 5 games they have a draw and 4 wins,
Good for them.
which that's pretty damn good for if you're a Bournemouth fan. And they didn't spend that much money. Solanke's doing amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So I would
Okay.
say
That's a good one.
I'd say he's my
Listen,
overachiever.
I would be interested to see their wage bill compared to Chelsea's to be sitting like
There's only
the
one
same
right
amount of points
answer.
on the table.
There's only one right answer for this. You guys already know who it is.
Arteta,
Arteta?
Ten Hag.
No, Unai Emery.
Good evening. Good evening. Good
That is
evening.
true. Yeah.
Unai Emery has
Good evening.
completely overachieved.
Yep.
He did it at VRL. He's doing it now again at Aston Villa.
Yeah.
He's definitely overachieved to where they are right now.
Yep.
And I was looking at the results. It is crazy that Manchester United came back against Aston Villa. But if you look at all the teams that Aston Villa's beat, it's impressive.
Mm-hmm.
One, but it's also impressive that Manchester United is the only team that's been able to beat Villa or come back and against some of the teams that Aston Villa's played against. So Unai Emery. So I had 2 actually. I had Unai Emery, and the other one, Sean Dyche.
Shonda, he's definitely done a good job.
He's
this
done
season.
a fantastic job.
Yeah, he has.
Surprised me this year because his style of play has changed as well. He used to be, I mean, at Burnley, just long balls and
Defend.
just old school
Yeah.
like football, but now he's kind of evolved into a different style. So
Yeah, and I wonder with some of those old managers if they realize like the game's passing them by, and they're like, I can either stick to the way I've been doing things because I'm traditional and that's how it is, or I can say, okay, I actually still have a lot to learn and I'm going to be adaptable and I'm going to make changes and hire a lot of them hire younger staff or hire staff with more modern visions and say, okay, let's
Help me change. type
help me
thing.
change a little bit.
Especially, I mean, he's young enough where, I mean, he's not young, but he's not old like Roy Hodgson, for example, up there where
you're stuck.
if
in
you
your
want to
ways.
continue to do this as a career, you better start changing now. Otherwise, you will get left behind.
All right, so underachievers. Let's go underachievers next. Who has underachieved as a manager?
Oh, as a manager.
I'll go with Eddie Howe.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
just
the game.
Interesting.
Where Newcastle is on the table. Obviously, they've spent a decent amount of money over the last few seasons and have a good enough team to put some things together that, to me, in times of like when you start losing players to injury and things and the ship starts to wobble, that's when, as a manager, the ability to like right size it and keep things at least get things back on track is crucial. Where I don't think Eddie Howe's doing that. Where obviously they got bounced from Champions League, and then haven't been able to really recover in the league yet. And then
Right.
I think this weekend when they lost at home to who was that to?
Was it Bournemouth?
Was it Bournemouth?
No, because Bournemouth just tied, I think.
No, yeah, I thought we were
Forest
To Forest.
3-1.
Yeah, to Forest. Yeah, to Forest on Boxing Day, at home, which was like the one place where they consistently could get results and were getting results. Yeah, Eddie Howe's the one underachiever for me.
And then he just came out and said the players are mentally and physically exhausted, and we're just halfway through the season.
Yeah.
So that's a scary,
It's a scary thing.
thought to say, like out loud.
What about you, Georgie?
It's tough because I want to say Pochettino because where Chelsea's at and how much they spent, but he hasn't had that much time there. So like, but you should be doing better than that.
Yeah,
So,
they could be regardless.
yeah, I mean Pochettino, I guess.
Yeah. I told this to my friend Eddie, who said the dumbest thing I've ever heard. After spending $300 billion in the transfer market, said we need time to like rebuild. And I was like, no, you don't get to spend that much money and then say we still need a year to rebuild. Like the whole reason of you spending that much money, you do that when you spend less money and you're a little bit more tactical with who you're getting because you know it's going to be a long-term process. But you don't get to do that with when you spent on literally the most expensive players in the world and then say, oh yeah, we still need some time to rebuild.
Yeah, it doesn't
So-
look like that.
Get the pieces together.
I would say, so I had two again for this one. I had a Pochettino.
He has extra people in this segment.
I've
Not
actually-
enough people
I'm making
in the
up,
last
I'm making up
segment.
I'm making for the last segment. Pochettino because we've seen it with Chelsea where managers come in and they do really, really well. Pochettino hasn't had that at all. Like with Tuchel, with what's the interim that came in?
Di
and won
Matteo?
Di Matteo. Like they've been able to do it where they come in, they haven't needed any time, and right away Chelsea wins the Champions League all of a sudden, right? Or the Premier League or whatever. So I think Pochettino needs to have done better so far. The other one, which is probably not the greatest, I don't know if it's not the greatest take, but Vincent Kompany. I'm a little disappointed that I know that they don't have everything in their favor, but I think Burnley has severely underperformed this season. I was hoping that Kompany could get them at least closer to being out of the relegation zone, or at least one or two spots above the relegation zone by this point. But it seems like it seems like Burnley is probably on most people's list of a club that's going to go down at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Especially how they played last year in the championship. They completely dominated. And I know it doesn't relate in like when you come to the Premier League, but I don't know.
Out of the three teams, I thought they were the ones that had the best chance of staying up,
Yeah.
and it looks almost like the opposite of that now. That they're like the most.
Even
highest
Sheffield
likelihood
is
of going
having
down.
like a bounce after the new coach.
Yeah. So
All right, what about on par? So which manager has done all right, not great, not bad?
our boy Mikel Arteta, I'd say, is on par with what people's expectations were this year, which was get some signings, look better, challenge for the title.
GG's.
I heard a door open. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are watching the podcast through video, we have a what do you call it when the fans run onto the field?
A streaker?
We have a
pitch invader?
We have a pitch invader. That's what it is. We have a pitch. We have a podcast invader. Little Roro. We usually record these pretty late. So when we record these this late,
Pretty late.
if we're being
It's 1 in the morning.
it's 1 in the morning. If we're being too loud, my little kid wakes up. All right. Thank you very much. All right, you take care of Lobo. I'll take care of this one. All right.
Doesn't have milk.
I'm gonna get my ass beat.
Javi's
Anyway,
getting his
So,
ass beat.
Roro, can you say hi to the cameras, puppy? Can you say hi? Pitch invader? All right, anyway. This kid's still asleep. He's just got his eyes open. Where were we
You
at?
and me both, Roman. You
Where
and me
were we
both.
We're on the same page.
So, so I was setting Eddie Howe as the on par. That's
Oh,
what we were
so
at.
he has him on.
He has him as underachiever.
Yep.
I have him as on par because I think the whole Tottenham rebuild process is a multi-year process. He started off really
Newcastle?
well. Yeah,
I
Newcastle.
was like, wait, I'm already talking.
Sorry, my bad. Newcastle.
Yeah.
They started really well. They've dropped off. I think now they're in like 8th place. All right. But I don't think all is lost. I think they're going through a bad spell. I think he's going to get the troops back in order. And I think they'll probably finish somewhere on, like, let's say, 5th or 6th. So it's not as good as it was last year. But I think for Newcastle, it's one of those 2 or 3 year process where in the next, let's say, 2 years, they're going to be consistently competing for top 4. And where Newcastle, a couple years ago, Newcastle was not very good.
Yep.
Honestly, it was like 5 years ago that they were almost in the relegation battle. So now it's, can you get them consistently to be battling for Europe? And they did last year. This year, can they do it? Can they get back to that towards the end of the season? I think they're okay where they're at. I don't think anybody needs to panic about Eddie Howe. He hasn't done amazing, but he hasn't underperformed, especially because of how they did last year.
All right.
We have player next.
Did he go?
Oh, you haven't gone yet.
Did I go?
Oh, my bad. I always forget about Georgie. It's because you got some terrible takes, man.
Let's see. I didn't think about this one, but top of my head, this one is a bit on par, but also maybe even like overachieving a little bit. David Moyes.
David Moyes.
David Moyes out, Thomas?
Yeah, Thomas wanted David Moyes out as a West Ham fan. I have no idea why. Because
there's 6th, I think?
There's 6th. I don't know after today's games if anything changed, but they're 6th place or in and around. They were 4 points away from Manchester City. In 4th place, I think they were. So
they're 7th right now.
They're 7th now because somebody moved.
Someone must have jumped them today, yeah.
Yeah, but
because they play tomorrow.
Yeah, against Arsenal. So I think that, they should be in there or around there, winning the Europa League, the conference last season, buying obviously Ward-Prowse, and Kudus has been amazing. Bowen has been on fire. Paquetá has been really good. They should be around there.
Right.
So
it's not a surprise that they're where they're at.
No,
because if you look at the players in the roster, yeah.
But compared to they were in the relegation battle for a long stretch of the season last year.
Yeah, last year.
And then to see them now bounce back so well after, it's really interesting for both them and Tottenham. Lose your captain and
spend the money well, and then listen. There's so many good players for 30, 40 million that you can find. If you sell a player for 100, 115, 120 million, you can buy 2-3 really good players that can make your team a lot better. So
I think if we had a category for in between on par and overachieving, that's where David Moyes would be right now. He's definitely on the higher end of the on par, lower end of overachieving, I would say.
Yeah, or
but that's a pretty good one.
Getting fired from Thomas.
The West Ham supporters don't like him.
West Ham supporters want win us a trophy and get us battling for top 4. Get out.
Win the league. You're out.
All right. So next one is the player in the EPL. So we could do transfers, we could do players, but I just went with players. Sometimes they're both the same one. And for me, I think it's definitely the same one. For me, the best or the player of the EPL is 2, actually.
You don't say.
Actually, no. Just one. Sorry. The other one was the on par.
Okay.
But the player who's overachieving is Declan Rice.
Yeah.
Now, you could say that he's on par because he was his price tag and all of that. But the dude has lived up to the hype and more,
some,
in my opinion.
I'd agree with living up to the hype and then some. I always knew I think I say this every single week. I knew he was good, but I didn't realize he was this good. And it just continues to show week in and week out, game in and game out.
Was that yours, Joe?
No. He was my transfer if we were going to do the transfer one. But for player, overachieve, I have Solanke. 3rd in the league in goals.
Yeah, Solanke is
12 goals on Bournemouth this far into the season is very impressive.
For 20 mil. Liverpool sold him.
And you look at all these teams who can't find goals and that need strikers. Like you look at Chelsea, for example, and they have Nicholas Jackson, and he scores some goals, but not to the same number, obviously, as Solanke. And with less service on obviously a smaller club, worse team, whatever you want to call it, is getting it done.
It's a good one.
I'm impressed with him.
What about you, Georgie?
Now you guys got me confused with the way I was thinking about going into this. I was looking at a player that got bought, transfer-wise, for little to no money, and then for this season pretty much, and then are just way overachieving what they're supposed to be.
Oh, who'd
So
you
for
have?
me, Liverpool player Endo, 17 mil. That's crazy.
You always pick Liverpool.
Yeah,
Just-
man.
it just-
You can't do that, George. Stop. Just stop, man.
He's
Sa-
got Endo
wait.
on his best 11.
I didn't have him. You said Endo you were gonna put Endo in your best 11.
And he decided to put no player there instead.
Yeah.
So for
That's how good Endo was, really.
So for 17 mil to be in your first half of the season, that's
No, that's fair because that's a player that is overachieving, right? We're not talking about the best right now. We're talking about
Yeah.
players who are overachieving.
yeah,
$17 million
Yeah.
for what that gets you now in today's market,
It's
and
great.
for a player to come in and be starting as a very effective player on a team that's winning or in
Top of the table.
Yeah.
top of the table, that's definitely overachieving.
yeah. So 17 mil, that's insane. It's insane to me. And then I had two. Well,
Was the other one
Declan.
Soboslai?
No, well, Sabasai, I think he's on par.
Another Liverpool player.
No, Declan Rice because he's a lot of money,
Yep.
but he's
He's
I think
clearly
he's-
worth it.
Yeah,
Him
clearly.
and Jude both there.
Yeah, it's insane that we're sitting here talking about $100 million, or actually I don't even know if it's dollars, but 100 million, and we're saying that he should be 150.
Yeah.
Like it's insane to me. Like Coutinho got sold for 140. I never thought Coutinho was a $140 million player,
Even when he was valued at that.
even when he was at
Yeah.
Liverpool. So when that happened, I was like, yeah, I was.
That was also a case of them raising up the price, knowing how bad Barcelona wanted him.
Yeah,
He was so good for you guys, though.
he was so good, but like he made what Liverpool is now. Van Dijk and Alisson.
Yeah. Coutinho, money built it.
Underachievers then. I
Bruno.
pass. This is again. I pass.
You passing?
I mean, there's a couple players, I guess, but there's always going to be a couple players. There's nobody that really. I'm like, man, that guy is terrible for either the price tag or anything like that, or I just couldn't think of one. What about
I
you?
thought you were going to say Mudryk.
I went with Bruno Fernandes for underachieving player. Like I compare him to like his first 12 months in the league because I think he came in January, and he tore it up for like the back half of that season, and then for like the first half of the next season. And I thought it was going to be like this. He's in the Premier League to stay. He's going to be on KDB's level because he was performing like that when he first came, and it just. And I was hoping Ten Hag making him like a captain and all of these things and speaking his praises would change it. And there's small glimpses of it, but he's not what he.
Yeah, I agree. When you
used
compare
to
him to
be.
last year, definitely, or
Yeah.
when he first came to Manchester
He was
United,
unbelievable.
he was very good.
And even now, he's still like I think we were watching the Champions League game when he hit that rifle that one upper corner, and like he still does it every once in a while and can and has it in the bag, but it's very.
Now
Then we watched the Villa game, and he has a terrible first touch on a breakaway, and then a snapshot that goes 15 yards wide. Where 18 months ago, that's a tidy first touch and a clean finish.
yeah,
What about you, Georgie?
couldn't think of anyone. I have no idea.
Okay, so we're gonna pretty much skip that one.
It's a
then,
pretty good
besides Joe?
segment we got here.
Yeah.
You want me to take it home?
Skip. All right, well, we can move on to on par. Who do we have on par?
That's tough too.
I'll go. All right,
All right.
I'm gonna go. And Georgie, listen. First of all, I'm going to apologize to my own beliefs and my own philosophy of life. All right, I'm gonna say Darwin Nunez on par.
This
For
man.
all of the shit that I've talked about Darwin Nunez.
You should be happy.
No,
He's finally this season. I've said it, but he is finally this season on par with where I think he should be. He's improving. He's
Wow.
getting better. He's a consistent threat for Liverpool now, and every game, all of the sitters get less and less. Like the feeling of he's gonna miss a sitter this game because that's what he does. That talk kind of dies down a little bit more as each game goes on, and he needs less opportunities to score goals. The last game that he just played. Good, solid finish from outside the box. So I'm going to say on par right now in the first half of the season has been Darwin Nunez.
Wow.
Good news is it's recorded for you, so you can
Well, he's
get
gonna
a
delete-
screenshot of this. He's gonna have it as his ringback, like the ringback tones back in the day. You're gonna start calling
Yeah.
Georgie, and that's all you're gonna hear your own voice talking about how Darwin Nunez is
Who do
on
you
par.
have?
I've got another Liverpool player,
Whoa.
Salah. Back to
Wow.
I think where he belongs. Golden Boot race, helping Liverpool compete for the title. obviously I don't like the fact that Liverpool is now competing with Arsenal for the title, but I am a Salah supporter, and I'm glad to see him back where I think he belongs, which is potentially win a Golden Boot. And I would like him to dethrone Haaland because I think that'd be cool.
That'd be nice. Well, how far away is he? 3 goals? 2 goals? 1 goal?
I think him and Solanke are only 2 now because Haaland's been out.
Yeah.
Let's look.
On par.
Yeah, 2. Solanke and Salah, 2 back.
That's
14
crazy.
and 12.
So the way I look at that is it wouldn't have been a crazy prediction at all. It would have been actually the safest prediction to say Salah would be where he is right now if you would have said that before the season. She said, he's going to be at the top of the Golden, or he's going to be top 3 or whatever. What is he right now in the Golden Boot?
Second.
Second.
For second,
So
him and Solanke.
So you say, yeah, he's second or third behind Haaland.
Yep.
That would be like a safe bet. And he's been consistent. So
He's been.
I agree with that. On par.
Yeah. Let's see going.
What about, did you have anyone or no? You gonna skip that one? Or
No,
no?
skip that one.
All right, well then last bit then.
Yeah, that's
We're going to
funny
go in. So the team of the Premier League that has overachieved, underachieved, and is on par. I will start with the overachiever, which we can all probably agree. Aston Villa
Yep.
has been the overachiever. Nobody would have thought Aston Villa would be where they are right now, competing against the teams that they've played against, but also beating them.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you guys got?
I went with Aston Villa as well. I tried to answer this differently and not have Tottenham because I said Ainge for coach. So I went with Villa here. Same thing. The fact that they're beating top teams is impressive. A lot of times people try and just like hold on and get a draw when they went to Old Trafford to win that game. And obviously out of all of them that one backfired, but they go to places and they go to win, which is kudos to Unai Emery, who has that bravery to go in there and make those decisions. But
What about you, Georgie?
Yeah.
I mean,
He skipped us, he said.
No, Villa's the obvious one, but I mean, I'm just going to go with Bournemouth
I
again.
thought you were going to go with Liverpool.
Like, I feel like Bournemouth, a lot of people had them in the relegation battle.
Yeah.
Nobody really thought that they would be mid-table.
Well, when you lose 9-0 to Liverpool, was it 9-0? It was 9-0, wasn't it?
It was 9
It was
like
like
last
9-0
year.
to Liverpool last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then in the relegation battle. So
Yeah, Liverpool. He's a Liverpool fan.
no, he's not.
He just said Liverpool.
Can you say,
Liverpool.
Can you say Arsenal?
Liverpool. Liverpool.
Bournemouth is a good one. I wouldn't have said Bournemouth, but that's a
Yeah.
good one because where they're
Yeah.
sitting in the table, what is it, 12th?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's impressive for Bournemouth right now. If you would have told a Bournemouth supporter or
In
the
the-
board that you'd
Yeah.
be 12th going halfway through the season, you'd be very happy.
He just said Liverpool.
Are you a Liverpool fan? Can you say Liverpool?
No.
He did just say it.
Can you say Liverpool stinky poopy?
He's like, nope.
It's like, nope.
I'm a Liverpool fan.
All right. Joe, what did you have? Oh, you already said it.
Come here,
well.
Liverpool fan.
Underachiever for me. What did I have? Let me see. I wrote this all down because I came prepared. Chelsea.
This is
Yeah,
underachiever?
Underachiever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chelsea.
That's why I had to. Chelsea.
You cannot. Again, this is.
Can't spend $2 billion and have no
Yeah.
and be under Bournemouth.
Yeah. Absolutely. Chelsea's
Yeah.
just so inconsistent. You could say Manchester United as well, but Manchester United was expected. Like Manchester United would be more on par with where they're at, and they haven't.
They're also
haven't been
getting
terrible.
results.
They're getting results. They haven't been terrible,
Yeah.
right? But Chelsea for me has just you cannot spend that much money and not be
Anywhere near.
anywhere near the top 4 and the top.
Chelsea should be where Aston Villa's at.
Exactly.
12 points off the top 4 they
It's
are.
crazy.
Chelsea, 12
But
points
even
off.
that doesn't seem like that much when you think about it.
All right, on par.
The
On
Arsenal.
par.
The Arsenal. Competing.
This guy telling you you always pick Liverpool for everything. This guy picks Arsenal for everything.
Arteta.
He picked Arteta. He picked Arteta for the best Premier League manager of all time.
No, I did not.
Oh, okay. You picked him to manage the best Premier League team of all time, which is kind of a similar question, to be honest.
I don't think I did.
Yes,
No,
you did.
not right
I
now.
have
Check
it
the
in
tape. Check the tape. I don't believe it.
Actually, I watched it
posted it
today.
on the
I
TikTok.
watched it today. I watched it
Did I?
today. Yeah.
So
No, I say Arsenal because I think second place. We're competing for the title again.
Yeah.
We have, I think, a slightly better chance of winning it this year than we did last year, but the progress is there. The other team I was going to say was going to be Liverpool, actually.
Wow, you thought that.
Yeah. I mean, I think
Javi didn't put Liverpool in the top 4.
you guys are good. And
I said fourth.
outside of the year where Van Dijk tore his was it his ACL?
Yeah.
MCL, all of them. Whenever he blew out his knee. Outside of that season, you guys have always been up there. And it just comes down to City having
1 point more in
The
3
deeper
seasons.
bench.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Like it's 1 point over 3 years.
Yeah. That's absolutely insane.
The crazy part about it is that they've won all the titles except like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's like it's been that close and
They still just win it.
they
by
still
one.
get it. Yep.
That's why one decision from a referee makes it all. Anyway,
On par for me, Tottenham. The Tottenham Hotspurs. They're not terrible. They're sitting right now.
Fifth, I think.
They're sitting in 5th place, which is kind of where you'd expect Tottenham to be. Maybe
Yeah.
slightly a little bit higher.
really?
But-
No, with Kane out,
Well, that's what I'm
you
saying. That's
expect it?
with Kane out, I expect them to be in 5th. If Kane was still in, I'd expect them to be 3rd or 4th right now. So
Fair.
I think Tottenham, for as much shit as I give Big Ange, I'm going to say they're on par. And again, I think they're finally starting to get over they're starting to get back into the recovery process from the injuries, the red cards, things like that, where they can once again be consistent a little bit. So I think they'll start to get a few more results going into January. But for me, they're on par.
Sheffield on par. Relegation battle. Worst team in the Premier League.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
So how would they have underachieved then? If they're last place in the Premier
mean,
League, how would they have underachieved?
I mean,
Yeah, it's expected.
Yeah,
Just,
I
yeah.
like when we talked about who's in, like when we made the predictions in the beginning of the season. Sheffield was the bottom one.
Yep.
Yeah.
I had Luton in there too, but now, if any, Luton is like overachieving.
Well, I did tell you this too right at the beginning. Remember when I said that the Luton president even said that in the
Yeah.
second half of the season is where they were expecting to get all their points. So it looks promising from
Yeah.
some of the results that they've.
And it
It
sucks.
does look like there's going to be a relegation
Yes.
battle all of a sudden because even up to Brentford. Luton's
like-
at 15. Brentford's at 19. In between them, they have Crystal Palace at 18, Nottingham Forest at 17, Everton at 16, then Luton at your 15. So it's close.
Yeah, and I mean that it's good to see.
Yeah, I
It's
think
good to see
Everton
that.
will climb out just because. I mean, they should be sitting mid-table, but I hope Nottingham Forest doesn't go down.
Nottingham Forest.
I hope they do not.
Yeah, they spend a decent amount of money to be honest, so they should stay up.
They should. It would be sad if Crystal Palace goes down too. But
Wait,
Eze and Olisa could.
they just fired their coach, right? And that
Nottingham Forest did, yeah.
Nuno.
Then they
Nuno.
won. Yeah, Nuno came and they won against
Yeah.
Newcastle. So
yeah,
it'll be interesting, man. Back half the season's.
yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. Top 4 titles, relegation battle.
Yeah,
Roman's bedtime.
Roman's bedtime. He's like, what? Here's the word bedtime. He's like, no chance. He's watch. He's gonna try and bargain with me. Roman, it's bedtime, puppy. 5. He just asked for 5 minutes. Yeah, 5 minutes.
Nah, Roman, you're staying up all night because we're going live tomorrow.
Yeah, we're going live.
Roman,
baby.
10 minutes?
Roman, can you say bye? Can you say bye?
No, say bye.
He doesn't want to say bye because he knows it's bedtime, boy. But anyway, so that's the episode for today. We're gonna try and do these random podcasts, like the ones that aren't the typical podcast, but the ones that have some sort of a different topic. We'll try and do these more often because there's a lot of interesting topics that we did essentially our fantasy, or not fantasy, but our best Premier League 11 of all time. We did right now the transfers in first half of the season. So we'll see if there's some more topics out there that we can do for the next one.
And January 1st, it's transfer window open.
Oh,
Yeah.
so
So
there's
we're
gonna
gonna
be a
have
lot more
a lot of
Mauricio
talk.
Romano coming?
Yeah,
We'll invite him onto the podcast. Georgie, slide into the DM, see what he says.
I'll message him
Here we go.
here.
All right. Well, appreciate you guys tuning in to another episode, 30 episodes. And I didn't mention this at the beginning, but I told you guys earlier, we hit over 1 million views on one of our TikTok videos. So that's a huge milestone. To be
Doesn't
honest.
ask the statistic guy about them statistics, huh?
Yeah. Well, the statistic guy didn't know that was a statistic. I had to show him. So
It's true.
So yeah, so we'll
So 2024 is gonna be a big year for this podcast.
2024 we're gonna set some goals, and the next podcast maybe we should do our New Year's resolutions and goals for this podcast, and see
Yeah.
if we can hit them at the end of the year.
That would be fun. Let's do it.
I like it.
All right. Well, make sure again follow us on all of the social media channels. While my kid makes dinosaur noises over here, make sure you follow us on all social media channels and the YouTube. Don't forget the YouTube, because the YouTube is where we post the long form. Pitch Invader. Where's the security? Come on. Where we post the long form videos. YouTube.com/at. YouTube. Don't wind him up. You guys are winding him up too.
He's good. He's funny.
YouTube.com/at the NGW podcast, and social media, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram is at the NGW podcast. All right, Roman. Can you say bye?
No.
All right, well, you guys got anything? No?
No.
Cool. Peace out. Catch you guys in the next one.